I'm embarking upon this retrospective because whilst I'm very fond of The Simpsons' first 10 seasons, it is the Treehouse of Horror episodes that I've retained the most love for, and in some ways were most compelling to me when I was young. They were terrifying, placing these beloved characters in sometimes traumatic circumstances, but also when I was a few years older, they were great portals via a Wikipedia entry to learn about the horror fiction which inspired what to me were already iconic, horrific memories. We'll start with Treehouse of Horror 1 of Season 2. We'll be going up until Season 15, so 14 Treehouses of Horror. I love the first Treehouse of Horror, not the first one I saw. In fact, I may have seen Hungry of the Damned in some flashback/clip show episode first, but I vaguely remember seeing this on TV, maybe before I got the Season 2 DVD. Having it on DVD, it became very formally imprinted on me at a younger age, mid-primary school, and after beginning with a great, of the time, charmingly so, edgy, cozy, family entertainment 90s frame device, we get the stellar Bad Dream House. Bad Dream House is completely chilling, one of the highlights from the entire Treehouse of Horror project, a superb way to start it all out, establish a mission statement, set a very high standard. Bad Dream House was my exposure to more macabre and frightening haunted house media, beyond Scooby-Doo cartoons or other assorted animated shows from ABC Kids. Extremely disturbing for a younger viewer, but inescapably compelling, brilliantly atmospheric, hauntingly existential, and overtly visual. Over the years, Bad Dream House would always stand as an excellent exercise in a Treehouse of Horror segment. Hungry of the Damned is utterly brilliant, featuring some totally outstanding gags involving the family anyway, Homer's overflowing barbecue explosion, Homer munching on the burger whilst the UFO arrives, Homer slapping Bart's hand as he sarcastically raises it, and Homer treating his children as effective adults and giving them a hard time. Yeah, thanks a lot, Lisa, at the end there. One of the best segments they ever composed, some of the greatest Simpsons gold ever realized, instantly iconic, well-remembered, widely recalled by an entire generation, Hungry Are the Damned introduced the legendary Kang and Kodos, one of the funniest twists and repeated curtain pulls of all time. Some slick animation and moving existentialism, Hungry Are the Damned is spooky, emerging as so from an initially unsettling base, becomes funny and comforting, and then existentially charged. It is one of the greatest segments of animation ever executed. The old whizzes of Warner Brothers or Tezuka's production house would have marvelled and loved Hungry Are the Damned quite thoroughly. Leaving us with The Raven. You are there in that room that may be the soul, may as well be the sole interior in that building for all we know. All we see of the rest of that building is a long, ominous, ambiguous corridor. Fusing the aggressive existentialism of Poe's The Raven with metaphysical animations and moulding it with Homer's oafish anger toward the spoiled by circumstances of the media and society around him, Bart Simpson, represented by a psychological torturer, a raven, he tries to reason with the raven before attempting to strangle him, incurring its wrath and ensuring it will sadistically look over his withered, cowering form for the rest of time, peace and comfort nevermore. One of the most atmospheric pieces ever created, in any medium. As a piece of animation, it reconfigures identifiable interiors to have the logic, posterity and comfort of rooms within dreams, and dreams from a sensitive childhood at that. It fuses the vague dread of Poe's ruminations with the Simpsons status as a sometimes cynical, more adolescent-edged, questioning stability experience. It is one of the more potent things you could have shown a rather young person in the 90s or during the early to mid-2000s. Potentially the finest thing in existential, pre-21st century, pre-internet, pre-global village, pre-social media, tangible isolation enhancement. The feeling of living, feeling alone, atmospherically present, without the world at the tap of your smartphone or even your home computer, just a television box. The Raven could have only been composed during an era when this potent, isolated yet by comparison comforting existentialism was still being experienced by the psychologies of the developed world at this time in history. It is a collection of three utterly magnificent pieces, sometimes what The Simpsons was best for. Few animated shows had a higher budget. It was experimenting with genre forms in ways no other Western animation could afford to. Whilst possibly clunky at times owing to the simplicity of The Simpsons form, it is difficult to cite superior television animation of its time, or at most times, in the annals of Western animation anyway. The first 2 seasons of The Simpsons were extraordinary. Whilst I'm happy to name the first 10 seasons as classic, there is something special about the show early on, when it was an emerging, burgeoning, mass utopian optimistic phenomenon, where it is sometimes the most comforting. I happen to utterly love the nature of the show during its initial 8 seasons, and the particular phases it goes through, say 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, depending on the showrunner. But the 1 to 2 era, known as the era when Groening, Brooks and Simon were the showrunners, is a distinct masterpiece in of itself, sometimes overlooked or turned nose up at by younger, snobby and more spoiled, infantile brat fans of the show. And whilst I'll never deny the genius or even potential superiority of the next 3 eras of showrunners, anyone who denies season 1, and especially 1 is a bit awkward, I understand that, season 2, you are a major fool. Enjoy the screen caps and enjoy the rest of this retrospective if this classes as entertainment or light stimulation for you for whatever trivial reason.